Women Up Radio, designed to facilitate women's empowerment, improve your career, develop your talents, incorporate your passions, achieve fulfillment and success.
Hello, this is Women Up Radio, supporting Empower Women. And today we're talking about effective networks and startups. I'm joined in the studio by my guest, Frederique Cintrat, who's the founder of Assurancielles professional networking platform and Assurancielles Consultancy. Welcome to the program, Frederique.
Thank you. Hello.
So tell me about your companies, particularly Assurancielles. What are they? What do they do? And what inspired you to create them?
Good question. I wanted to make something to allow women to develop easier their professional network. So Assurancielles is a web application and soon mobile, which aims is to help people to develop their professional network through the share of professional good ideas. The keywords are ambition, connection, and action. And the user share their professional even good ideas, such as conference or to work or network event, and meet other user of the app to the event. When you don't dare to go in an event alone and you want to meet other person, you are going to meet this person in the event, and so you are not alone. It allowed you to meet other person in the event. So
it gives you confidence. It makes it easier to meet people, and it gives you more confidence about going somewhere that you don't know.
Yes, that is, often it's sometimes the problem of women I met. So you go to you optimize your choice according to your availability and your center of interest, and also to widen your network. And also in Assurancielles every day, international experts, as you and Laetitia, publish the tips and strategy advice in order to progress in your professional activity. Yes. So women can join individually, the women in business space, and companies or organizations can subscribe to an exclusive corporate space. And in this way, they can federate the ecosystem, men and women, employees, customers or partners. And furthermore, women also have access to the women in business space.
Sounds great. What I'd like to ask you, I've got several questions about networks. So why are networks so important? And what are the benefits that we gain from having a good network?
Network is very important because it allows to go 2 times faster to search for information, to find the good contact in a company, to be recommended if you are an employee or even an entrepreneur. They allow, thanks to the interpersonal relationship, to create sometimes long-term links to help and to progress by the opening with the brain. For an entrepreneur, especially in the starting up of its activity, it is essential, and the first turnover is often brought by the network.
Yes.
And remember, the more the links will have been personal with the members of your network, the more you will have helped your network, the more you can rely on your network. And I see it every day in my own business.
Really? Oh, that's wonderful. Wonderful. Okay, so how does this differ when you're working for a corporation compared to being an entrepreneur?
When we are in a company, it's useful to develop its network for its career, and because we don't know what will be happen tomorrow. Also, the network allows to go 10 times faster to get an information and to progress. When we are entrepreneurs, it's an absolute necessity, especially in starting up if you are alone, so that your network can help you to find the good experts, to share tricks, advice with other entrepreneurs to recruit and, of course, to find customers.
Yes, that's essential for an entrepreneur. Yes, right. So what are the best ways to build your network?
I can say that the best way is to be interested in the others, to do a favor, to make the connection with people.
Yeah.
A network has to be developed. Indeed, one of the ways is to go to professional events, targeted according to your goals. Then you discuss with other professionals to widen your circle. And by so you are known and recognized. And moreover, of course, you can use tools as Axial to help you, which will make it easier.
Obviously, right. Okay, and are there any different types of networks that we can develop which can be useful for specific situations?
You can have developed a network throughout your personal and professional life without having a specific objective, just for the pleasure of the meeting, to forge links and to make a relationship that you will keep. Then, according to your aims and to your expectations, you rather move towards a business network, which is a network where you will meet your peers, and even a feminine network in which you meet other inspiring women.
Yes, always a good idea. I think women's networks are excellent for promoting careers, even for ideas and for helping each other.
Of course.
How can we make an existing network more effective?
A network needs to be maintained, whether it is in the company or outside. It is necessary to keep in touch by maintaining the link, even at a distance. You can do that with social networks, or phone, or emails, or even better, during meetings or lunch. It's a possibility.
Yeah, it sounds great. I particularly like the idea of lunches, especially if they're in France, with lovely food and a good wine. Sounds excellent.
And you can take a coffee too.
Yes, exactly. So are there any sectors or industries where you think that a good network is particularly important? And if there are there any reasons why it works better in these types of sectors or industries?
I think it is important in all the sectors. All depends of your job and of your aims. When you want to move to another town or country and you want to find a job, it's better to have a network which is going to help you to identify your possibilities. When you want to develop a product in a sector, you have to have a network which can help you to identify the right person to contact. Yeah. And obviously, when you are in the marketing, communication, sales, or innovation field, you have to build a strong network to be aware of the last research, to be known by the right persons.
Yeah.
So in all the sectors, it's the case.
I know when I first moved to Bermuda, because when I was young, I moved to Bermuda, and I was very lucky that I had friends already working there. And for me, having that network helped me get a job quickly. It helped me find somewhere to live. It helped me find even things like sports centres, so I could create a social life as well as a business life. So I think particularly when you're moving into a different field or into a different area, networks are wonderful. They're so helpful. So
you have to develop your network.
Yeah, exactly. And tell me, with Axial, do you have people in many different countries, or is it still mostly in France?
At the moment, it's mostly in France because it is in the French language. But we have people in all over the world. I hope that within few months or years, we can say that we are all over the world in several languages.
Oh, lovely. Oh, that would be great. I think it would be very helpful. And because Assurancielles, in fact, it's very recent, isn't it? You created it, what, 2 years ago? Something like that?
No, 1 year. And within a few weeks, we are going to improve the apps. It's very recent.
Yeah, it's developed very, very fast. And I know I've seen the number of members, and it's very popular because there are more. I see more and more members on it every day. So, okay, sorry, to get back to what I was asking, do you see a difference in networks in the way men and women create and manage their networks? Do you think they've got different networking skills?
We can see a difference, yes, in men and women, and if you permit, often not in school years, you see boys in collective games while girls are going to play with one or two girls. Here begins the network. Boys are going to choose more often collective game than girls, and the network begins after the maths. And it's the same case in the active life. Yeah. I see that women have sometimes network, but they are not aware of that. They don't consider the network as something useful. They are going to prefer network to meet, to share ideas, better than do business. And sometimes they think to begin to develop network when they need job or business, and it is something to avoid. Fortunately, things are changing.
So do you think women are now becoming more aware of the advantages of good networking?
Yes, I think too. And I think that young women are aware of the necessity of a network, because in school, you learn how to make a network, how to develop your network now.
Yes. In fact, I know from Facebook, one of the groups I'm in on Facebook is from my old school that I went to a long time ago. And it's the group of the girls that were at the school in the 70s. And a lot of us, we've never spoken to each other in years because we live in different parts of the world, etc. But having that group, so maintaining that contact and network, it's wonderful, because if I need advice, for example, doing business in Germany or Australia or I don't know, Kenya, I've got old school network who can give me advice on what I should do or who I should contact. So I think networks, really, you're right. Having started Assurancielles, all to do with networks, it's a real treasure. People don't realize just how important networks are. So we hear that every contact we need for success, for promotion, or to access business deals is only 6 people away from us. Do you think this is true?
And perhaps, but I think that now, thanks to the web, thanks to LinkedIn, thanks to Facebook, thanks to Twitter, it can be less than 6. Really? Because you can meet people you don't know or you know, and they are going to make the link between you and other person, and your network can be very large, and it can be very easy to meet people you don't know in other country or in another field.
Yes.
You have just to identify the right person who know the right other one.
So are there any additional special factors that we need to consider when setting out to create or to develop an effective network?
Don't begin to develop a network only when you have something to ask. Job, customers, money.
Yeah.
Begin when you can help.
Yes.
Sometimes only with the pleasure of meeting. When you have not a lot of time and you want to develop your network, use, as we said, social network. Suggest to take a coffee with a person you want to meet. And if you want to keep in touch, don't hesitate to invite your contacts in social network, as LinkedIn, for example.
You are listening to Anna Letitia Cook at Women Up Radio.
Having a good network is obviously a great asset when you're thinking of creating a startup. What other key factors do you think are essential for startups?
First, the difference between a startup and other companies is that you don't have at the beginning a strong economic model. But if your age finds its markets, the growth can go really fast. Mm-hmm. Therefore, you have to be associated or advised. In your team, find person who will bring different points of view and competency. You have to be very active because all go very fast and you can't afford to lose time. And at the beginning, a big problem is to find money, to finance the development of your idea, the product, and to pay the person who will work with you or for you, trust you in this new adventure. So the network is necessary, and you can waste time.
You yourself, you've started several businesses during your career, and you've transitioned from corporate. So, what do you find are the biggest challenges?
I've changed 5 times of work in companies, and after 27 years being an employee, I've decided to create my own business. It's a big challenge. You need to do everything or subcontract, and above all, you need to find the means to finance and sell, and of course, to earn your life. The business development function is, according to me, one of the most important. Yeah. You need to know your skills, and if you have the means, you have to be helped for all that needs complementary skills.
Not always do we have the skills necessary to do everything. So sometimes if you can afford to pay somebody else, it just makes life so much easier.
Not at the beginning. After, we hope. Yes. But at the beginning, it's a difficulty.
So what are the main bonuses do you think is the best thing?
The main advantage for me, like versatility, taking strategic decisions, and who have a real problem for authority, in that you don't need to ask to anybody what you are allowed to decide to do, to say. When you succeed to create jobs, to improve people's lives, you say to yourself that it is thanks to you, and what a pleasure.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't like being told what to do. So
yes.
So what are the unexpected issues that are often overlooked when starting a business? Because there's a lot to think of.
Yes, first of all, the lack of time, the fear to fail, the need to do everything. And for me, an expected issue was, for example, an unpaid big invoice from a client. So you learn how to be resilient.
That's interesting, actually, because often we don't think about unpaid invoices. If we haven't worked in accounts or something like that, we don't think about that side of working with a client. So what do you recommend in that situation? How can you check your credit or check your client's credit? Do you think there's any way of doing that?
Don't think that everybody is going to be fair, and so even if you know the person, the client, ask to be paid very soon, and not when he has decided to pay you. And you say, no, I want to, and you phone and you care, and you ask it. In my case, I haven't asked something from the bank. I have just, it was just trust between him and me, and that was the difficulty. Yeah. And when it was the invoice wasn't paid because the company stopped working. I stopped work.
Yeah,
and as said, so the invoice are in the law, and I don't know if within 10 years I'm going to be paid or no.
Oh God, yes, nightmare, absolute nightmare. I know. I mean, with what I do, most of the time I'm paid in advance, because as it's coaching services and training and things like that, I can ask to be paid in advance, and they think it's quite reasonable because of business expenses, or if not, part of it in advance. So it makes it easier. But if it's setting up a manufacturing business or something like that, where you're producing orders for people, for physical goods, it's difficult to try and get everything paid for either quickly or in advance. So yeah, I realise that's definitely something people need to think about. Okay, so
and when you work with a big company, you have not the choice. They decide when they want to pay you, and often it's after 2 months.
And in situations like that, would you ever advise people just to refuse the contract? So,
sometimes you don't know. You can imagine that you are not being paid. So at the beginning of your activity, you need to work. You need customers, and you can't impose. You can ask, it's like this, or if not, I don't work.
Yes.
After, when you have a big range of customers, you can afford, but not at the beginning. You have just to ask and to be to trust and to ask the client with the contract to respect the terms.
Yes, I know. I got burnt in a small way, not a big way, but I got burnt in a small way by 2 clients who didn't pay me, and after that, that's when I decided to insist that either I got paid upfront or I got at least 50% upfront, because when you lose a lot of money, it's difficult. So anyway, that's getting away from startups. So for someone who wants to start their own business, what are the different ways that you can transition from working to being in your own business?
I don't really know. It is difficult to answer in few words. It depends on the field you want to invest and on your situation when you decide to develop your own business. In every case, you have to be prepared to meet people who have decided to start their own business. Mm-hmm. For me, you have to think not only to what you would like to do, but also to what people are going to accept to pay for.
Yeah.
So you have to meet, you have to explain, you have to extend before taking your decisions, and try your product and accept to change the way you are going to develop your project.
Do you feel that as women, there are any factors or strengths which give us an advantage with this?
I really think that it's more about person than a question of gender. However, I notice that a lot of women of my generation are creating business sometimes because they don't want anymore this type of employee which they used to adapt to. And when the children leave the house, they want to plan a new project, which are sometimes linked to the start of its own business, to create and to prove something to themselves.
Yes, yeah, I think it's great. I thoroughly recommend to anyone, well, I think creating a business is very, very interesting, but particularly once you get to 50 plus, because you've got so much experience, you know what you like, you know what you don't like, and it's just so rewarding to do something which is really interesting and your passion.
And sometimes you can afford taking risks at this age.
Yeah, exactly. So, and so there seem to be lots of startups that are being created by women these days. Why is it? Do you think it's what we've said, or can you put your finger on another main attraction for women in creating their own business?
I can answer in France. In France, there are a lot of actions which encourage to the creation of business in generally, and the feminine entrepreneurship especially. Women represents 30% of the entrepreneurs, but only 8% of the entrepreneur in innovating business. Sometimes the way to find a job is to create it, and sometimes it contributes to a deeper desire to realize its ambition by creating values, and also by changing little the world. The entrepreneurs have become the new heroes, men of women, and women, especially young women, also want to take part of the adventure of the startup. They hope to build a real success story in the startup field.
Oh, that's wonderful. I've always thought of startups. Well, yes, if it's tech, I think of younger people. But even me, who really works for women and helps women progress, subconsciously, I still think of creating a business when you get older. And I'm wrong, because obviously young women have got so much talent and so much to offer. So I need to change my attitude.
Yes, but in the startup field, and often in technology field, you have often more young women than women of our age. I decided to create a startup, an apps, and we are not a lot. I'm 50 years old, and we are not a lot of women of this age in the startup field.
Yeah. Well, I remember when I first started work, we still had the old-fashioned typewriters, where you went tack, 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 ding. It was that type of typewriter. Computers didn't exist. Tech didn't exist. So I had to change and adapt as I got older. Whereas I think younger people now, it's automatic. They know everything. Right? So obviously, you meet a lot of women who are starting their own businesses, particularly with Assurancielles and all the people there. Can you give some examples of women who have successfully started up and the impact that it has had on their lives and also on those people around them?
Women I know, when they decide to create their own business and to live from their activity, work a lot. Mm-hmm. They begin early in the morning and they finish late at night. And all the family is concerned by this new life. They don't take a lot of holidays, but they